Hello, everyone. Today, I'm going to talk about two new features in the advanced facial rigging. One is adding custom controllers. For example, we have these controllers. But if you don't think it's enough, here, you can add a new one, a new custom one. Let me talk the details shortly. The second new feature is adding custom bones. For example, here are 4 bones. If you don't think it's enough, you can add a few more. Alright. Let's talk about adding custom controllers firstly. Click Add button. A dialog will appear. Enter the corresponding name. Here is a list of all expressions. When you give the custom name to the controller, if the name are already in this list, for example, jawback, it will say it already exists. Noticing the upper and lower case, it means we can't use that name. At this point, we write our own custom name. For example, let's call it TestBB. Of course, you can name it freely. It's created now. Now we select its box. We can move it around. If we click this lock button, we can't move it anymore. If we click unlock here, we can move it. Locking and unlocking is based on the text inside the dialog. Please notice it. Okay, let's lock it. Now, let's go to make an expression. Before that, make sure to reset all controllers. Reset all. Like this. Reset all controllers. Now, crank the new controller to the maximum, which is 1 on its parent axis. It must be set to 1. Drag it to the maximum. Now, let's move the smaller controllers. We shouldn't touch the larger ones here. This is like the big controller, and these are the smaller ones. For example, if we move the eyebrows, raise them. For instance, the eyes, drag them down. Something like this expression. Now, let's link the expression to controller. Click Update Facial. Update. It says Success. Now, when we move the controllers, it affects the expression we just set. This is the feature for custom expressions and its controller. By the way, when it creates, it always creates at this position. We can move it elsewhere. Place it where you want. The next feature is that custom bone. First, we must make sure to add an edit poly layer to our model. By the way, you'd better to use the English version of 3ds Max as much as possible. Otherwise, many commands may fail. So, we need an edit poly layer here. In the edit poly layer, select vertex mode. We'll create a bone position based on the vertex position. For example, we want to create a bone here. It must be at a vertex, like this. Here, we have some options for different areas, like this is for eyebrows. Up eyelid is for upper eyelid. This is for lower eyelid. Next, cheekbone is for the bone below the eye, which follows this area. Cheek is for the cheekbone area, like this position. Profile is for the cheek, the bone at this position. Nose is for the nose area. So, the last 2 are for the upper and lower lips. If you want to add a bone at a specific area, select exactly that area. Here, we want to add a bone around the eyebrow. This option defines whether it's on the left, right, or in the middle. If the vertex is in the middle, select the middle. If the vertex is on the left, select the left. It will be based on the area. It selects a parent controller based on each area. After creating, its motion follows the parent controller. Of course, you can update its motion relationship by the update method. First, let's test one for the eyebrows. First, let's test one for the eyebrow. Left and right here refer to the model's left and right. For example, this side is the model's left side. Okay, now, let's give it a name. Just pick one randomly. Test brow. There's a mirror option. Mirror means symmetrical. If you choose this point to create, it will automatically create a point on the right side. The point on the right side will move along with the right eyebrow. Okay, let's check this mirror option. Now, click Add Secondary Controller. After creating, move the mouse a bit. It creates a new bone point. When we move this controller, we find there's no weight because it's new, so the weight of this point needs to be assigned manually. Okay, its motion will be following this controller. The newly added bone on the right eyebrow follows the right side. So, if you want to change its motion method, you need to use the Update Facial feature. First, reset all controllers to 0. Move the large controller along a single axis. Move its single axis to 1. Don't use multiple axes. For example, this is using multiple axes. Move its single axis to the maximum. Then, let's move the controller we just created. For example, I want to move it down. Then, once it's moved, let's connect it to Update Facial. It shows success. Now, its upper part moves only to that position. Let's test again. For example, the nose. We'll create one in the middle. Still in Edit Poly mode. Choose a point, like the middle. Now, let's add it to the nose area. Because it's called mid, it's different from this name. So, it didn't prompt for conflicts. If its name already exists, it will prompt that it exists. If we click again, it say we didn't in the Edit Poly mode. If we select a point again and try to create the same name again, it will say that this bone point already exists. It cannot be created. Then now we're creating the bone for the nose. And if we move the nose, it follows. Because we chose an area to create, it will follow the main controller of that area. Let's try a mouth point too. Let's try another point in the mouth. For example, if we select this point and we want to add a bone, we'll go for the lower mouth, in the middle. Because we chose the middle, it doesn't matter where it is. It won't mirror bone. Now, if we try to create it, it will say it already exists. So, we'll add a letter B. Now, it created a bone. Its parent will be the same as other controller of lower mouth. Now, if we move the jaw, you can see it follows the jaw's movement. Of course, this bone doesn't have any weight. So, for more customization, you'll need to brush its weight. Brush it according to your needs. This is how to add custom controllers and bones. Thanks for your watching. See you in the next one.